Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am Dr. Supradip Das, Assistant Professor at the Department of Design, IIT Guwahati, and this is the 36th lecture of the course Introduction to Toy Design. In this lecture, we will be focusing on how toys exist within markets and how designers and companies respond to those market conditions. We will begin by understanding market segmentation and why it is necessary to divide large markets into smaller, meaningful groups. We will look at different types of segmentation, such as demographic, psychographic, and behavioral, and how these apply specifically to the toy industry. From there, we will move into targeting, where companies identify which of these segments they want to design for and serve. We will then explore consumer shopping behavior, particularly in the context of toys, where the user, buyer, and influencers are often different people. We will also examine the key factors that influence toy purchases, including price, safety, learning value, and brand trust. Finally, we will move into branding and market positioning, understanding how toy companies differentiate themselves and communicate value to consumers. To bring these concepts together, we will look some case studies of brands and analyze how they position themselves in the market. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to look at toys not just as objects, but as products that exist within a broader market system. You will be able to identify different types of market segments and understand how toys are designed to cater to specific groups of consumers. You should be able to analyze consumer behavior, particularly how parents and children interact in the decision-making process when purchasing toys. An important outcome is being able to distinguish between the user, buyer, and influencer and understand how each plays a role in shaping product success. You will also develop the ability to evaluate how different toy brands position themselves and how that positioning is reflected in their design, communication, and pricing. Most importantly, you should be able to apply these concepts in your own design process, making more informed decisions about who you are designing for, how your product will be perceived, and how it will exist within the market. This shifts design thinking from only catering good products to creating relevant and successful products. Markets rarely consist of consumers who all want the same thing. People differ in their needs, preferences, purchasing power, lifestyles, and expectations. Because of this diversity, a single product rarely satisfies everyone equally well. This is why companies use market segmentation. Market segmentation is the process of dividing a broad market into smaller groups of consumers who share similar characteristics or needs. By identifying these groups, companies can design products, marketing messages, and pricing strategies that better match what those consumers actually want. In marketing theory, this idea is often linked to target marketing, where businesses first identify different segments within a market and then select the most relevant segments to serve. Instead of trying to sell one product to everyone, companies focus on groups where their offering has the strongest appeal. Segmentation, therefore, helps businesses to understand their customers more deeply. It allows them to tailor product features, marketing communication, pricing, and distribution strategies to specific audiences. In the toy industry, segmentation is particularly important because the users, buyers, and decision makers are often different people. A toy may be used by a child, chosen by a parent, and purchased by a relative or gift giver. Understanding which segment the product is meant for becomes critical to designing and marketing it effectively. A market segment refers to a group of individuals or organizations within a large market who share similar needs, interests, characteristics, or purchasing behaviors. Rather than seeing the market as one large homogeneous group, segmentation recognizes that consumers often cluster around specific patterns. Some customers may prioritize price, others quality, others sustainability or educational value. By identifying these clusters, companies can better understand what each group values and how their products might serve them. Once segments are identified, businesses can design offerings that directly address the needs of that group rather than trying to create one universal solution. For example, in the toy industry, toddlers require toys that stimulate sensory exploration and motor development, while older children may prefer construction toys or strategy games. Adults who purchase toys as collectors may look for entirely different qualities, such as craftsmanship, brand legacy, or nostalgia. Segmentation, therefore, helps companies align their product design, pricing, marketing communication, and distribution channels with the expectations of specific groups of consumers. Without segmentation, companies risk creating products that are too large, that are too general, and fail to strongly appeal to any particular audience. There are several different ways companies can divide markets into segments. These are called segmentation variables, and they represent different ways of grouping consumers based on shared characteristics. One of the most common types is demographic segmentation, which groups consumers based on measurable characteristics such as age, gender, income level, occupation, and family size. Another approach is geographic segmentation, where consumers are grouped based on where they live. Climate, region, and population density can all influence consumer preferences. A third type is psychographic segmentation, which focuses on consumers' lifestyle, values, attitudes, and interests. Two people with similar incomes may still buy very different products depending on their lifestyle priorities. Another widely used method is behavioral segmentation, which groups consumers according to how they use products, how often they purchase them, and what benefits they seek. Finally, Some markets also use product related segmentation, which considers how consumers interact with a specific category of products. In practice, companies often combine several of these approaches to identify meaningful customer groups. In the toy industry, for example, segmentation may involve age groups, developmental stages, parenting philosophies, and play preferences. Demographic segmentation divides consumers into groups based on measurable and observable characteristics such as age, gender, income, education, and family size. Among these variables, age is one of the most significant factors in the toy industry. Toys are typically designed for very specific developmental stages, and different age groups have different cognitive, emotional, and physical abilities. For example, infants may use sensory toys designed to stimulate touch, sound, and visual exploration. Toddlers often engage with stacking toys, shape sorter, and simple problem solving activities. Preschool children may use imaginative play, toys, or early learning games, while older children might gravitate towards construction kits, puzzles, or strategy based board games. Research on toy purchasing behavior also indicates that parents often choose toys that they believe support learning and development appropriate to the child's age group. Income can also influence toy choices. Families with higher disposable income may purchase premium wooden toys or STEM learning kits, while more price sensitive segments may prefer lower cost mass market toys. Understanding these demographic differences helps companies design toys that align with developmental stages and purchasing power. Psychographic segmentation focuses on consumers' value, lifestyles, attitudes, and beliefs. Unlike demographic segmentation, which looks at measurable characteristics, psychographic segmentation explores how people think and what they prioritize. In the toy industry, psychographic segmentation has become increasingly important in recent years as parents adopt different philosophies about childhood development and learning. For example, some parents strongly value Montessori inspired education, which emphasizes open ended play, natural materials, and child led exploration. Brands that target this segment often design toys with simple forms, wooden materials, and minimal visual clutter. Other parents prioritize STEM learning, believing that toys should support science, engineering, or problem solving skills. These families may prefer construction kits, robotic kits, or engineering toys. Another grouping segment includes parents who prefer screen free play, seeking toys that encourage imagination, physical activity, or hands on creativity instead of digital interaction. By understanding these lifestyle preferences and values, toy companies can create products and brand identities that resonate with specific groups of parents and caregivers. Behavioral segmentation focuses on how consumers interact with products. Instead of looking at who the consumer is, this approach examines how and why they use products. Companies may group consumers based on how frequently they purchase a toy, that benefits they expect from it, or the situations in which they typically buy it. In the toy industry, behavioral segmentation can appear in several ways. Some toys are purchased primarily for educational purposes, where parents are looking for toys that support learning, creativity, or skill development. Other toys are purchased mainly as gifts, particularly during birthdays, holidays, or festive occasions. In such cases, visual appeal, packaging, and brand recognition often become important factors. Some toy segments also revolve around collectible behavior, where consumers repeatedly purchase items in order to complete a collection. Finally, there are hobby-oriented toys, where children or adults engage with a toy repeatedly over time as part of a deeper interest or skill-building activity. Understanding these behavioral patterns allows companies to design products and marketing strategies that align with how consumers actually use toys in everyday life. Once companies have identified different segments within a market, the next step is targeting. Targeting involves evaluating the various segments and selecting which ones the company will focus on. Not every segment is equally attractive. Some segments may be too small, too competitive, or not aligned with the company's capabilities. Businesses therefore assess segments based on factors such as market size, growth potential, purchasing power, and strategic fit with the brand. After selecting target segment, companies then design their products, marketing messages, and distribution strategies specifically for that group. For example, a toy company may decide to focus on parents of preschool children who prioritize educational development. Another company might focus on hobby-oriented construction toys for older children or teenagers. Target marketing helps companies allocate resources more effectively and communicate more clearly with their intended audience. Instead of attempting to appeal to everyone, successful brands often build strong connections with a specific segment of consumers. Consumer shopping behavior refers to the way individuals make decisions about purchasing and using products. It includes the processes through which consumers recognize a need, search for information, evaluate alternative market purchasing decisions, and assess their satisfaction after using the product. Researchers define consumer behavior as the actions and decision-making process individuals go through when selecting, acquiring, using, and disposing of goods and services to satisfy their needs. Understanding consumer behavior is extremely important for marketers because it helps them predict how consumers are likely to respond to different products, pricing strategies, and marketing messages. Consumer behavior is influenced by several factors. These include psychological processes such as motivation and perception, social influences such as family and peer groups, cultural norms and expectations, and economic factors like income and affordability. In the toy industry, consumer behavior becomes particularly interesting because the buyer and the user are often not the same person. A child may use the toy, but the purchase decision is frequently made by parents, grandparents, or relatives. This creates a unique dynamics where the toy must appeal both to the children's desire for fun and to the adults' concerns about safety, learning value, and price. Understanding these interactions between different decision makers helps toy designers and marketers create products that resonate with both audiences. One of the most distinctive aspects of the toy market is that the consumer, the buyer, and the user are often different individuals. In many industries, the person who purchases a product is also the person who uses it. However, in toys, this is rarely the case. The user of the toy is typically the child. The buyer, however, is often a parent, grandparent, or other adult family member. In many situations, the influencer of the purchase decision may be the child, especially if they have seen the toy advertised or played with it at friend's home. This creates a multi-layered decision-making process. A toy must capture the child's imagination while simultaneously convincing the adult buyer that it is worth purchasing. Adults tend to evaluate toys based on criteria such as safety, durability, educational value, and price. Children, on the other hand, may be drawn to the toys because they look exciting, colorful, or associated with a character. Marketing strategies in the toy industry must therefore address both audiences. Packaging, advertising, and branding often attempt to balance these two perspectives by highlighting both fun and developmental benefits. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for designers and marketers when developing toys and communicating their value. Research on toy purchasing behavior shows that several key factors influence how parents and caregivers choose toys for children. Among the most important considerations are price, quality, safety, and educational value. Studies indicate that parents often prefer toys that they believe will contribute to a child's development while also being durable and safe to use. Price plays an important role because toys are often purchased repeatedly throughout a child's development. Parents therefore evaluate whether the toy provides sufficient value relative to its cost. Quality is another significant factor. Parents prefer toys that are sturdy, long-lasting, and made from safe materials. This is particularly important for toys used by younger children. Educational value has also become an increasingly influential factor in toy purchases. Many parents actively seek toys that encourage learning, creativity, problem solving, or skill development. Brand trust also matters. Established brands often signal reliability and safety, which can make parents feel more confident about their purchase decisions. Together, these factors shape how parents evaluate toy options and decide which products to buy for their children. Consumer purchase decisions generally follow a series of stages, often referred to as the consumer decision-making process. The first stage is need recognition, where the consumer becomes aware of the need or problem. In the context of toys, these might occur when parents want to encourage learning, reward a child, or purchase a gift for a birthday. The second stage is information search. Parents may look for toy recommendation online, browse toy stores, read reviews, or seek suggestions from friends and families. The third stage involves evaluating alternatives. At this point, consumers compare different toy options based on factors such as price, quality, brand reputation, educational benefits, and safety. The fourth stage is the purchase decision, where the consumer selects the product they believe offer the best value or benefit. Finally, there is post-purchase evaluation, where the consumer reflects on whether the toy met their expectations. If the toy performs well and the child enjoys it, the parent may develop trust in that brand and purchase again in future. Understanding this decision process allows companies to design products and marketing messages that support consumers at each stage of the buying journey. Brand positioning refers to the way a brand is perceived in the minds of consumers relative to competing brands. It defines the identity of the brand, what it stands for, and how it differentiates itself in the market. In marketing theory, positioning is often described as the mental space that a brand occupies in that consumer's mind. When consumers think about a product category, certain brands immediately become associated with specific qualities or values. For example, one toy brand may be associated with educational learning, another with technological innovation, and another with traditional play. Positioning is not simply about advertising. It influences many aspects of the product itself, including the design of the toy, the materials used, the price at which it is sold, and the way it is communicated to consumers. Successful brands ensure that all of these elements reinforce the same message. The packaging, the visual identity, the product features, and the marketing narrative all work together to communicate what the brand represents. In the toy industry, positioning is particularly important because the market contains many products that perform similar functions. What differentiates brands is often the story they tell, the values they represent, and the audience they target. Brand positioning plays a crucial role in helping products stand out in competitive markets. In most product categories, consumers are exposed to many similar options. They rarely have the time or motivation to evaluate every available product in detail. Instead, consumers often rely on brand signals to guide their decisions. These signals may include the brand name, packaging style, product design, price range, or reputation. A strong brand positioning helps consumers quickly understand what a brand represents. It communicates the brand's purpose and value in a clear and recognizable way. When positioning is clear and consistent, consumers begin to associate the brand with specific qualities. Over time, this builds trust and familiarity, which can lead to long-term brand loyalty. For toy companies, this is particularly important because parents and caregivers often rely on trusted brands when purchasing products for children. A brand that consistently delivers safe, engaging, and meaningful play experiences becomes easier for consumer to choose again in the future. Positioning, therefore, shapes how consumers interpret products and helps brand maintain a distinctive identity within the marketplace. Shumi provides a strong example of how brand positioning can shape the identity of a toy company. The brand positions itself around the idea of natural, development focused play. Many of its toys are made from wood and feature simple, minimalistic designs. The visual aesthetic avoids excessive bright colors, flashing lights, or electronic components. Instead, the toys emphasize open-ended play and skill development. This approach aligns closely with Montessori-inspired learning philosophies, which encourage children to explore, experiment, and learn through hands-on interaction with materials. Shumi's positioning also appeals strongly to parents who are concerned about sustainability and mindful parenting. The brand frequently communicates ideas such as reducing screen time, encouraging creativity, and supporting developmental learning. In this case, the toy itself is only part of the brand's positioning. The brand narrative, indicating packaging, storytelling, and marketing communication, reinforces the message that these toys support thoughtful, intentional childhood development. As a result, Shumi occupies a distinctive position in the toy market as a brand associated with educational, sustainable, and mindful play. Play Shifu represents a very different type of brand positioning within the toy industry. Instead of emphasizing natural materials or traditional play, Play Shifu focuses on technology-embedded learning experiences. Many of the brand's products combine physical toys with digital platforms through augmented reality. When children interact with the toy using a tablet or smartphone, digital content appears that expands the learning experience. For example, a globe toy may come alive with interactive educational content about geography, animals, or historical landmarks. This positioning reflects the needs of a different consumer segment: parents who are comfortable with technology and who see digital interaction as an opportunity for educational engagement rather than simply as screen time. Play Shifu therefore positions itself as a brand that blends education, technology, and interactive play. The brand communicates innovation, exploration, and modern learning experiences. By combining physical and digital play environments, Play Shifu differentiates itself from both traditional toy manufacturers and purely digital educational platform. Mechanics is another well-established brand that illustrates a different form of positioning within the toy industry. Mechanics construction kits allow children to assemble mechanical structures using metal components such as plates, rods, gears, and screws. These kits resemble simplified versions of real engineering construction systems. Mechanics therefore appeals particularly to children who enjoy building, tinkering, and experimenting with structures. It also appeals to parents who want toys that support STEM learning and technical curiosity. By emphasizing engineering exploration and hands-on learning, mechanics occupies a distinctive space within the toy market as a brand associated with construction, mechanics, and technical skill development. One useful way to visualize brand positioning is through a positioning map. A positioning map places brands along two dimensions that reflect key differences in how products are perceived. In the toy industry, one useful dimension might be the degree to which toys emphasize education versus entertainment. Another dimension might be the degree to which toys rely on traditional physical play versus technological interaction. When we map brands along this axis, interesting patterns begin to appear. Shumi tends to fall towards the educational and traditional side of the spectrum, emphasizing natural materials and open-ended developmental play. Mechanics also falls within the educational category, but leans towards engineering and mechanical skill development. Play Shifu occupies the educational and technology-driven area of the map, combining physical toys with digital augmented reality experiences. This type of positioning map helps designers, marketers, and businesses understand where different brands sit within the market landscape and how they differentiate themselves from competitors. It also helps companies identify gaps in the market where new opportunities might exist. In this lecture, we explored three interconnected concepts that shape how products succeed in the marketplace. First, we discussed market segmentation, which helps companies identify different groups of consumers based on shared characteristics, preferences, or behaviors. Second, we examined consumer shopping behavior, which helps explain how individuals and families evaluate products, make purchasing decisions, and interact with the brands. Finally, we looked at brand positioning, which describes how companies design their products and marketing strategies to occupy a distinct place in the consumer's mind. When these three elements work together, companies can create products that resonate strongly with their intended audience. Toy brands such as Shumi, Play Shifu, and Mechanics demonstrate how different positioning strategies can serve different segments of consumers. Some brands focus on sustainability and mindful parenting. Others emphasize technological innovation or engineering exploration. Understanding these strategies helps designers recognize that successful products are not only about functionality or aesthetics. They are also about understanding consumers, identifying market opportunities, and communicating a clear value proposition. As we close this lecture, I want you to carry forward one key shift in perspective. A toy can be beautifully designed, thoughtfully engineered, and developmentally rich, and still not succeed in the market. Not because it lacks value, but because it may not align with the people it is meant for, or the way they understand and choose products. What we explored today is not just a set of marketing concepts. It is a way of seeing design differently. Design does not end at the object. It extends into how that object is perceived, chosen, and experienced within a real-world context. As designers, this means that your work is not only about creating meaningful play experiences, but also about understanding the ecosystems in which those experiences exist. It means recognizing that every design decision, form, material, interaction, price, communication contributes to how a product is positioned and received. So, as you move forward, don't just ask, is this a good toy? Also ask, who is this for? How will they understand it? Why will they choose it? Let these questions guide your thinking as you continue designing for real people in real contexts. And until we meet again, keep your ideas curious, your thinking open, and your approach to design deeply connected to the people you are designing for. Till then, carry the spirit of joy to make toys.